Hello, kindergartners, and welcome to lesson one of symbols. So, in this series, we're going to be learning a little bit about music notation, a little bit about the symbols in music. I think you're going to, by the end of this, be able to read a little bit of music. It's going to be pretty cool. So, let's start out by looking at some symbols that we're going to start working on. So, here will be our first ones. So, in the rhythms video, we kind of talked about this a little bit. We talked about musical notes because we talked about the quarter note and we talked about the eighth note. And in this one, we talked a little bit about what the notes look like and what the makeups are. So starting here, we're going to be looking at exactly like the pieces of a note. So here's a little diagram, and it says the different parts of a note. So if we look at it, we can see that every one of these notes here, okay, all four of them, have a note head. So this is the beginning of it. This is the note head. Okay, can you say that with me? Note head. One more time. Note head. Good. So the note head can be filled in like this one, like a filled in bubble. It can also have a little bit of a, like a circle on the inside of it. Okay, it can be hollow on the inside. Either one still is a note head. And basically all notes are going to have at least this note head. Okay, so you can have notes that don't have anything else, just a note head that's either it's hollow, okay? But we can also have other pieces to the note. So the next piece that we have is this part right here. Okay, this is called the stem. The stem. So we have the note head and we have the stem. So you can kind of think of it like a flower almost, right? Where you have the flower head and then you have the stem coming off the flower, going to the rest of the plant, to the roots and everything. So you have a head and you have a stem. And it's the same thing with notes. So we have a head and we have a stem. Okay. Then some notes. So like this is a half note right here. Okay. So some notes though, okay, like these eighth notes here. Okay, so these eighth notes, there's three of them here, have different pieces, okay, to them. So they have a head, they have a stem, but these two right here are connected with what we call the beam. Can you say beam? Beam. So that's the beam, and it connects these two eighth notes together. So we have a head, we have a stem, and then we have a beam. Now you can have just an eighth note on its own, though, and it would have this part right here. So we have the head, then we have the stem, and then we have this we're going to call the flag. Okay? So the flag says that this is an eighth note instead of a quarter note or a half note. Okay? It's what makes it so you can see that that's what that's called. So we'll work on quarter notes and eighth notes and all that in rhythms, but in the symbols, I just want you to understand what these pieces are called. Okay? You don't need to know what these notes are yet. So we have the note head. So all these have a head. Okay? All these have a stem, and and then some of them have either a flag or a beam, a flag or a beam. Okay. So one more time, let's say all the parts with me. Note head. Now you. Note head. Stem. Say stem. Say beam. And say flag. Okay, let's see if we can quiz a little bit. What part of the note is that I'm pointing to right here? What's this part of the note? If you said stem, you are correct. Okay, what about this part of the note? What's this part called? If you said note head, you're correct. What about this part of our notation? What is this called? It's called the beam. If you said beam, you're correct. And what about this part of the notation? This part's called the flag. If you said flag, you were correct. We'll worry about dot later, okay? But yeah, we'll worry about that later. All right, so those are different parts of a note, okay? But there's still a couple more symbols I want you to learn this time, okay? So let's look at a little bit of music, okay? So right here, we have a little bit of written music. This is a scale, actually, and it sounds like this. That's not true. That's a different scale. It actually sounds like this. One more time. It sounds like this. And that's called the D scale. Okay, the D scale. If we look at this, we have different parts. So this part, all these lines, so this whole thing, all these lines and everything are called the staff. Can you say the staff? One more time. Staff. All right. Then we have this kind of looks like a fancy 6, right? So this fancy 6 is called, it's a symbol that's called the treble clef. Okay, it's the treble clef. And it means the high notes. Okay, the high notes. So the treble clef. And then we have, well, what do you think these circles are? If you guessed note heads, you're correct. These are note heads. So these notes are sitting on the staff in the treble clef. Okay. And the notes mean D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Okay. But what is the sharp that I was talking about? Well, you see these symbols here? You may know them as hashtags. You may know them as a number sign. But these are, in music, the term is called sharp, and it means sharp. And so it's showing on this clef here that we're going to have some sharp notes. Okay. It's telling us really what key we're in. So as we go up, these notes here and sitting here, we can see that we're going to have some sharp notes. Okay. So what's a sharp note? Well, if I take my guitar again, so this is C, for example. Can you hear that note? That's C. Okay. And I can go to D like this. So I went from C to D. One more time. Okay. But what happens if I go, instead of going from C to D, what happens if I go only to the next note, the sharp note? It would sound like this. Do you hear the difference there? One more time. Here's C to D. And here's C to C sharp. Sounds a little different, doesn't it? That's what a sharp note is. So we're going to practice some ear training, being able to hear those different types of notes here soon. But right now, just know that there are some different notes, and we need to be able to put those symbols down so that other musicians, when we talk to them, are going to be able to know what to play. So if we look at our screen here again, we can see that we have our staff. Okay, our staff are all these lines, which everything else is sitting on. Okay, this is the treble clef because we have a treble symbol here. Okay, that's like 6. It's fancy 6. We know it's in D because it has these different symbols here that are called sharp symbols. Okay, it's the sharp symbol. Okay, and then all these little circles here are notes. They're note heads, right? Okay, these are actually whole notes, the way that it's written. Oops. Let's go back. So let's see. So again, we have the staff, we have the sharp symbols, we have the treble clef symbol, and we have the note heads, the notes, right? Let's see if we can quiz ourselves and see if we know what these are called, okay? So what do you call these two symbols right here? Let's start with that. What are these two symbols called? If you said sharp, you are correct. They're the sharp symbols. What about this symbol here? What's this one called? Well, if you said treble clef or treble, you're correct. That's it. Okay. What about all these lines? When you talk about all these lines here, these 5 lines, what do we call this? It's called the staff. And then what about these circles? What are these circles called? If you said notes or note heads, then you're correct. That's all the symbols we're going to do for this video. Once you watch these two videos, there's a little quiz on Google Classroom that you can try out. So why don't you try out that quiz and see if you can guess what these symbols are. Maybe have your mom or dad or an older brother or sister or cousin help you out with the reading portion. If you can't find someone to help you out right now, do it later. Or, that's okay not to do it if you just want to replay this video and try this again. All right, kindergartners. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.